In this video, I'm going to share a few extra ideas for Python programming because I've had a student, she asked me if there was more challenging work or extra problem or something else because she really liked Python coding. And judging by some of the assignments people have done, I thought maybe some of you really like this stuff or you think something in your future career would involve programming. So I'm making this as an extra. It's not for everyone. You don't have to do this one. But pardon me, if it's for you to do extra and just because you like it. So over the weekend, I made a program that will challenge you with 2 extra ideas. And this would be a start. And I have another idea as well, all in Python. There are other programming concepts and challenges in programming languages that I could share, but I'm going to just focus on Python for this one. The high-low guessing game. This is a classic programming challenge if you take a programming course. And it introduces a couple of new ideas. And I'm kind of limiting, I didn't show down below, I have a whole bunch of code that's hiding. And I'm just going to start it off by introducing a couple of new ideas. I'll run the program so you can see how it works, and then you can see if you can replicate it. The purpose, a high-low guessing game. The first new idea is this import command. Import will bring in pre-made code into the background of your shell or of your Python program. And the idea is someone else already made the code and there's no reason for you to recode ideas or certain concepts in programming. And these things are called modules. In some programming languages, it could be a class, subroutine, a function. There's many different descriptions for them. But I want you to think of it as a library. It's kind of background code. Code sits in the background because you imported it into your program. You don't actually see it, but it's in the background ready to run. And in this case, I bring in a module that helps generate random numbers. I don't know who wrote it, but somebody in the world made this module, and it allows you to just borrow their code and get random numbers. So you just say import, and then you have to know the name of the module. In this case, I looked it up on the internet. For Python, it's called random. I went onto the internet and I looked up modules, and I found this in the Python language reference library or something. They call it the useful modules, and there's all these different modules. If you want to do music stuff in your coding, or if you want to do foreign function interface, I don't know if you want to run databases, if you want to do networking to routers and stuff. So there's all these different modules that you can load into. I found it kind of funny. They called them useful modules. I expect somewhere in their web page they have the useless modules somewhere. It seemed kind of crazy to call them useful modules. So we import that module. It allows us to use all of the random number generating code that someone's already created for us. Now, how do I use it? I have the library or the module set up. So here's what happens. I made a variable called num, and I'm going to assign it a value in RAM. So somewhere in RAM, I have that variable called num for the number. How does it work? Go use that module. Go into that library and get this function, randint. I'm assuming, I didn't write it, but I'm assuming it's a random integer. That's what they call it. Which implies you could use the random module to get random real numbers or random decimal numbers or random, I don't know. But in this case, I'm going to use integers. And I can give a range. So it will generate random integers between 1 and 100. It's a bit of a crazy thing. You don't actually put 100 there because if I understand it right, if you put 100, you might get random numbers between 1 and 99. but you don't actually get the 100. You will never get a 100. So if you say 101, the range is from 1 to 100 in that case. So when you run this command, it runs off to this function, sorry, this module called random, and it'll generate some number between 1 and 100. You don't know what it is. It just stuffs it into that value. Well, I kind of cheated. In a real game, you wouldn't have this. But just to help me run the program and practice my coding, I actually printed it off. I said, okay, well, the random number is this. So that's what's going on. Now, watch how the program runs. I'm going to start my program. And you didn't see it in my code, but further down below here, I hid it, so I'm not going to show you how I did it. But it pumps out a little message. But there's that. Your random number is 82. Okay, so that was from that one. From that one. So the random number is 82. So we're going to pretend we don't know what the random number is. Welcome to the incredible high-low guessing game. You have to guess a random number between 0 and 100. Okay, so just some print statements. Please guess a number. So I'm going to guess 50. Oops, what happened here? I'm going to guess 50. Press enter. Sorry, but your guess of 50 is too low. So some of you can guess that was an if statement. I put in my value, and I have that value, and I had an if statement. If this is greater than this, do that. If it's less, do that. Okay? So now I'll pick 90. I'm kind of cheating because I know the answer is 82. Whoop, my if statement does something else. It's too high. Oh, no, that's no good. So then I will guess lower. So I'm going to guess 83. No, still too high. 81. See, I'm kind of cheating because I know it's 82. Too low. So then I type in 82. And it pops up because the if statement caught it and said, oh, congratulations. You guessed the correct number is 82. And it took 5 guesses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took me 5 guesses. Now, how did I do that? How did I know it was 5 and not 4 or 1? I could have done it in one guess. So there's another challenge. How did I do that? And I had that, I think, in one of the last assignments, and if any of you rose to that challenge. So I guessed it in 5 guesses, and now something new pops up. Do you want to play again? In here, I have this idea of what's called the nested loop. And I did a bit of searching, and I just said, what's a nested while loop in Python? Remember, in my code here, I used a while loop because I don't know how many guesses it's going to take. I go around and do the same thing each time. Get the if statement, get the if statement. Did they guess it? Did they guess it? It's an indefinite loop, a while loop. And then finally, when they're done, I've done that, but I want to play the whole game again. So if I type yes, okay, it comes up and it does my welcome screen. Now this time I didn't cheat. I didn't actually, see, now I don't know what the number is. So I'm going to guess in the middle. 50, it's too low. 75, too low. 87, too low. 93, too high. 90, too high. 88. Ooh, I got it in 6 guesses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 guesses. So I got it right. Do you want to play again? There's that nested loop idea. And the nested loop idea works like this. If you have a while loop here that goes around and around and around, this is my game. Guess the number. Did you get it? No. Guess again? No. Guess again? No. Guess again? No. And finally, you guess the number and you're done. So I'm done that loop, but then I come back out to this bigger loop. And do you want to play again? Because if you say yes, you come down and you play the game. When you're done, do you want to play again? Go back up into this loop and do it again. Do you want to play again? No. So you go back up. You said no. Okay, well then we're done, and then you finish the program. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to show you something else. If I type no and press enter, the game will finish. Next trick challenge. What if I type a bunch of garbage in here? Why is it not crashing? My program says type capital Y or capital Y or capital N. If I type a small n, no, it's not going to take it. The question is, play it again, yes or no. And this is called error trapping. You can type anything you want in here. It's going to keep sending it back. No, enter what is asked for. Error trapping. If it asks for this, can you enter this? And I'm not going to show you how I do it, but if I say no, it finally stops. This is a very common thing, and you've seen this in many applications and software. If you don't type in a capital and it's expecting a capital, it throws it back at you. If you don't type in a number and you type letters, it throws it back at you. How did I do that? How did I make you have to answer this one or this one? And anything else you type, nope, you're not answering the question. Doesn't crash the program, doesn't do anything, it just throws it back. Nope, hey, come on. It's a Y or an N, capital only, nothing else. That's error trapping. How did I do that? I'll just give you a clue again. Where am I? I have about 20 lines below to do this whole program. The new idea is here, and that use of that module, but otherwise it's just if statements, some print statements, a nested loop, I'll give you that, and that little error trapping trick. Okay, so there's some programming challenges for you. Next challenge, if you want to go even further, and this might keen on for some of you, it's even more interesting. We've done a lot of coding in text-based, right? So all of this stuff pops up in the shell and you see these text-based prompts and answers and all that, which is good for certain kinds of coding, especially if you're into industrial codes, microprocessors, robotics, that kind of thing. But for consumers, for people out in the sort of the hands-on, just use it kind of world, there's something called GUI. And GUI means graphical user interface. And really, it's something we call, we take for granted. It's icons in a sense. In my Windows operating system, see how all of these things are icons? They're little pictures, and when you put the cursor over them, things start to happen. This is all graphical. Pictures and squares and colors and icon picture, like it's all a graphical interface. And your smartphone has graphical interface. Most of your operating systems now are graphical. When I started learning computers, we didn't have Windows or Mac OS with all this graphical interface. It was all, believe it or not, yeah, it's really old now. It was all text-based interfacing. You typed in according to the prompts. I don't know if they changed it recently, but some stores still have text-based computer systems. Canadian Tire, for the longest time, if you watch carefully on their computer screens, it was still text-based. And I think recently they finally sort of upgraded to a graphical user interface. The reason I mentioned that, sorry, I had another example. Here's another graphical user interface. It's a basic calculator, but it's all boxes and colored icon stuff. In Python, you can do a graphical user interface coding. Watch how this works. And I'm just learning this. I'm not the best at this. But, no, I didn't mean to show that one. This program is running this program. And I made a graphical user Python program. How does it work? In my code here, I imported a library, a module called tkinter is what they call it. I keep calling it a different thing. And again, this is a new idea. I'm not the best at this, but you import that module, and that tkinter module, I don't know where this name comes from, allows me to use all of the graphical user interface code someone else has already written in Python. And there's a new idea, another idea. I can import it, and I don't have to use their name. I can use it as my library name. I made it, or I renamed it, not kind of like an own variable, but I wanted to use their library with my own word on it, or my own description on it. Okay, so how did it work? My window, I believe, if I'm understanding the library properly, or the module properly, is a function in the library. So go to my library and take that aspect of it, not the random integer function or something. And I don't know why this is called capital TK, but get that and put it into my window. And what happens, if I've got it right, is it will open a window for you. So the TK functionality from the library will open a window. And what happens here is my window, I want the title of my window, that thing here that I defined, I want the title of it to say this: Hello World, Meyer here. What happens when I run the code? The title right here in my window says that. There it is. Next, in that module that I have, there is a function, not a title function, not a random integer function, a label function. Go into my window and use the label function to have the label, the text function, or the text property of the label, to say wow. Now, I believe, there it is, wow. You can also have the color of it change, or you can have the font change, or you can have the size change. There's probably a whole bunch. I'm not an expert at it, but I want the text of it to be that. I watched the video, and I honestly don't know why that's there, but you have to have that there, so I put it there. Next one. I want you to get the library module, and there is a button function. And I want you to put it in my window, and I want the text of my button to say that. Not the color of my button, not the size of my button, not the style of my button, and because there are other things you can change for that button part of the module, but I want the text of my button to say my first button. So it did that. And then the last part, I believe, is the main loop, and it just runs the code around and around and around forever and ever and ever. And that's why that program stays live. Now, what do you do with that? You can see if I'm running my code, I can click the button, but I haven't put any code into the button to make it do something. What could I put in that button? Well, I could make a high-low guessing game based as a GUI, graphical user interface program. And when the person clicks the button, they're guessing their number. Got it? That's all I've got so far on the GUI part in Python. I used to program GUI software, GUI programs in a program called Visual Basic, which I knew much better than I know Python. But you get the general idea. There is, I'm going to send a link. There is a pretty good, I thought it was pretty good, this guy, showing you how to do some of this. So I played with it a bit. There are other module stuff, and of course on the internet there's a million things out there that you can learn. But those should be some more ideas for you guys who want to learn more on Python. Hope it helps.